In 2011, we got announced to us that 2 missing episodes of Doctor Who were found. Galaxy 4 Episode 3 Airlock and The Underwater Menace Episode 2. Suffice to say, we as fans were very happy to see that more missing episodes were found, with the last recovery being a whole 7 years earlier with the Daleks Master Plan Episode 2 Day of Armageddon. However, what we did not know was that these two were only the beginning of missing episodes in 2011. Recovered in that year and announced in 2013, a complete set of The Enemy of the World, including the already existing Episode 3, was recovered along with prints for Episodes 1, again an already existing episode, 2, 4, 5 and 6 of the following Troughton story, The Web of Fear, with Episode 3 of the latter being found but stolen during transaction on top of that, were announced as being found in a television relay station in Nigeria by lost TV hunter Philip Morris. Back in 2013, it's safe to say that I was already a fan of Doctor Who, but with the start of my YouTube channel, March time, that transformed into being a mega fan. By this point, I was already a huge fan of 60s era Doctor Who, with my first 60s era stories being much earlier, talking like 7 years ago, which were The Mind Robber and the Dalek Invasion of Earth. So whenever it was announced in October of that year that these two stories were found and recovered complete, bar Episode 3 from Web, it was safe to say that I was pretty excited. I ended up ordering and unboxing the Enemy of the World DVD. I ended up watching it for the first time shortly after the video that unboxing was featured in, and a rather negative and now long since deleted review was uploaded. In it, I was hugely disappointed. If I can remember right, my main problem with the story was that it was quote-unquote really boring apart from episodes 1 and 6, and I ended up slapping the story with a 3 out of 10. The DVD then sat on my shelf for about 6 months or more, until at some point in 2014 I came back to it, willing to give it a second chance, and on that watch I greatly changed my opinions on the story. Through 2015, 2016 and 2017, I gave it more re-watches, with it now firmly cemented as a classic 60s era Doctor Who story. However, my opinion would change once again with a November 2018 marathon watch, which has now elevated this story even higher in my appreciation, with now it being one of only 2 60s era Doctor Who TV stories I would actually give a 10 out of 10 to. As previously hinted at in my War Machines review and discussed pretty heavily in my 60s era collection video, this era of the show is my all-time favourite because of how experimental I feel that the show was at this current point in time, with so many stories showing how far the BBC was willing to push the show in its current status quo. The Edge of Destruction, Marco Polo, Planet of Giants, The Web Planet, The Massacre of St. Bartholomew's Eve and The Celestial Toymaker are some of the examples and justifications to this point, I feel. However, in my opinion, I don't think many get quite as good as what I would say are the 3 kings of justifying this point: the Daleks Master Plan, Fury from the Deep and of course The Enemy of the World. Each and every single episode, in my opinion, adds something new and different to the mix, with David Whittaker still managing to keep it tight-knit and very workable, in the sense that each episode presents something new, as I said, and manages to make it work with regards to adding to the overall narrative of the story, whether it be from the action epic that is Episode 1, to the secretive stuff of Episode 4, to the enormous in scope Episode 6 that, despite being only 21 minutes, does such an incredible job of ending this masterpiece with one of the most well done action epic moments in the whole of 60s era Doctor Who and Doctor Who as a whole, I would have said. Plot wise, this story is just brilliant. I love the setting of a world segregated into different zones with different leaders ruling each zone, with an evil destruction-lustering, world-leading Second Doctor doppelganger known as Salamander ruling the Australian zone, and the following events of political corruption and espionage after the aforementioned Second Doctor lands in the zone with his companions Jamie and Victoria. To carry these events, we have some truly amazing original supporting characters in the story. Pretty much the first one we get introduced to, Astrid, played by Mary Peach, is absolutely fantastic. With her friendship towards Giles Kent is wonderfully shown and is realised wonderfully by Mary's truly fantastic performance. I love all the quips and interactions she has within the story, particularly with the Second Doctor, and is just a fantastic character. Speaking of which, Patrick Troughton here does a fantastic job of playing both the Second Doctor and Salamander, with the Second Doctor having a wonderful balance of seriousness and humour, which adds some really funny, light-hearted moments within the story, which interjects the political stuff extremely well and keeps the story going, not only with his quips but his excellent performances. The villain of the story, Salamander, is truly fantastic and possibly one of the best Doctor Who villains in my opinion. His evil innards are very well done and portrayed by Patrick, with him having a very interesting blend of being calm and evil, with him being shown as extremely ruthless and unstoppable. Probably my highlight of, not only for the character, but for the story as well, is the closing curtain call that is the confrontation between him and his reflection in episode 6. Every character in this story, I would say, are very well done, with each and every single one having incredible performances by their respective actors. However, the standout one in my opinion would be Bennick, played by Milton Johns. Without question, one of the most slimiest, most sinister and most unpleasant Doctor Who characters ever put to screen. Without question, this is the character highlight of the story in my opinion. Milton Johns' performance is unbelievably great, and every time he pops up on screen I just hate his character so much. On a similar path to Salamander, Bennick is one of the best supporting characters ever to grace the screen of Doctor Who in my opinion. As well as the wonderful characters and plot, the story is helped out with quality even more by some consistently great production values, ranging from the secret things in episode 4 to the all-out cataclysmic finale that is episode 6. On top of this, the music is some of the best I've ever heard from 60s Doctor Who, with these huge epic symphonic pieces that help to carry and intensify some action scenes in the story, such as the chase scene in episode 1. Camera work and direction is wonderful as well. One moment that stands out is the tracking shot in episode 1 of the helicopter taking off, and the camera focusing on two henchmen shooting at the copter. I could probably go on a lot longer about this story, but I think I'm going to end it here. Okay, this story may not be perfect. Example, there's a fairly jarring cut between the events of the end of episode 2 and the start of episode 3, but most of the problems I have with this story are akin to being nitpicks, and I am happy to overlook these things and declare The Enemy of the World as being near enough an absolute masterpiece. Production values, camera work, writing, humour, performances, cliffhangers, characters. I think this story is near enough perfect, and it is now one of my favourite Doctor Who stories of all time. If a random fan came up to me asking to be shown what greatness 60s era Doctor Who can do, this would be the first story to jump to my mind. I simply cannot recommend this story enough, and it is a true justification as to what this era is and what it can do.